spoke so much early in the show, Jamie. I was trying to give you. Who's the biggest bust, Jamie?
Well, I want the easy one, which is George Kittle. As the fourth tight end going in round 5 still.
Late round 5.
Yeah, and round 5. Look, he was great with Brock Purdy whenever Deebo Samuel wasn't there. Scored 6 touchdowns in those 5 games that Deebo Samuel missed, and never scored that many touchdowns before in his life. But it's hard to expect that same type of production because we saw the targets really not disappear, but crater when Deebo came back, and so you have Purdy's going to lean on him to a degree that I think his points per game will be good, but there's going to be a lot of games where he's going to, I think, have you frustrated. And so to see him go ahead of, for me, Waller, I would take a chance on Pitts first. I would take Goddard ahead of him as well. I think Kittle belongs as the 7th tight end. And if you're saying that the ADP for Goddard, what I'm looking at is 72nd overall, that's where Kittle should live.
I agree. He was below 6.7 targets per game for the first time since his rookie year last year. He was significantly below that. And if the 49ers offense wants to be more explosive, they want to take advantage of both Ayuk and Deebo, then I think Kittle's the one who pays the price for that. Plus McCaffrey's there. That's really when his targets started to dip initially, was when CMC went to San Francisco. So I have a hard time drafting Kittle anywhere close to 4th tight end off the board. I won't do it.
The only thing I would push back on, I think he's still pretty explosive. I don't think that's part of
not like the other guys.
He's still a mismatch nightmare for anybody in the middle of the field, and his explosiveness has not changed.
Yeah, look, Kittle, there's a lot to not like.
Compared to Ayuk and Deebo?
In terms of what they are relative to their positions, his explosiveness
That's not what I was saying. Right. But yes, I agree with you on that.
There's a lot not to like about Kittle. It really is. But he has also been a top 3 tight end per game 5 straight seasons. It's a little bit hard to walk away from.
Yep.
Yeah, I wish he were going more in the, your 7th and not 4th. So who's going next? Heath, you're next.
I'm gonna stick with Darren Waller. I do think there's obviously upside if he's a good value, but he's turns 31 years old in September. He has missed 14 games over the last 2 seasons. He's a player or a pass catcher over 30, changing teams. He's going to a team with a quarterback who has really never produced an elite fantasy pass catcher and is it 15 passing touchdowns? He hasn't thrown more than 15 passing touchdowns in the last 3 seasons. Might be 17. But I'm afraid that this remains a run heavy offense. And that even though he leads the team in targets, it's like 90, 95 targets.
Dave, biggest bust tight end for you.
I don't have a problem where Njoku's going in ADP, but there are tight ends going after him that I'd rather have on my team. He averaged 10.1 PPR points per game last year. That felt like a breakout. That's the number that's like an acceptable range for a top 12 type of fantasy tight end. He averaged a full point less in the 5 games with Deshaun Watson. He doesn't have that same type of upside as Freiermuth, as Evan Ingram, as Darren Waller, and potentially in full PPR as Dalton Schultz. I've got to take him like round 11 or later if I'm going with Njoku. He's one of those tight ends that I'm looking at as a disposable tight end. If he's not kicking it in the first 3 weeks, I'm finding somebody off the waiver wire.
Boy, I'm really surprised that nobody said Hawkinson as a bust. Because
I don't think he'll bust.
He's the 3rd tight end off the board. And I just don't think, I don't know if you guys agree with this. I don't think you should draft Hawkinson as the 3rd tight end instead of waiting like 3 more rounds and getting the 7th tight end or something like that. Just don't think he makes enough of a difference at the position. I'm not taking the first guy in that group of 5, and it seems to almost always be Hawkinson. And he's just such an ordinary, such an ordinary player. Hasn't really done much in the NFL. But anyway, Jamie, what were you going to say?
No, the ADP is too high, and I think it's a matter of, again, how far does he slip where you want to buy into him. So I get that. But for me, another one is Ingram. I just think last year, like you said, Adam, he had some splash games at the end of the season, but now you're bringing in Ridley. I think that's going to hurt him. I think we're going to see, the career arc of Evan Ingram was great last season in a contract year. Not significant enough competition for targets, and now that's changing.
Yeah, the counter is yes, targets are going to be harder to come by because of Ridley, but we're hoping for a big jump from Trevor Lawrence that could compensate for that, because Lawrence, they only threw for what, like 42 yards.
But it's not like Zay Jones is going away.
No, and it wasn't even that good of a year for Ingram. 73 catches is good.
Right.
766 yards, 4 touchdowns in 17 games. Like, okay, you're the man.
Somehow he finished 5th in total points among tight ends, 7th in PPR points per game, 9th in targets per game.
Yeah.
Among
I know
tight ends.
how. I know how. It's because
How?
everybody else was awful.
Right, exactly.